Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another webinar on building resilient teams using ALERTSim. I am Ashish Kulkarni, Technical Director at Bell Immersive, your host for today. In times of crisis, whether it's a natural disaster, a fire, a medical emergency, or an industrial accident, the speed and effectiveness of our response can mean the difference between life and death. But how do we ensure that our teams are truly prepared? The answer lies in simulation based training. Today, we will explore how AlertSim enhances emergency preparedness. This is an innovative platform that enables organizations to conduct immersive and realistic emergency response training. By using AI driven scenarios, it allows teams to practice their response in a safe yet dynamic environment, ensuring that personnel are prepared for real life crises. Imagine an oil spill or a fire in an industrial plant. AlertSim lets teams rehearse their events virtually, reducing risks and improving efficiency. Edgar Dale's cone of learning highlights how our level of involvement impacts knowledge retention. At the top of the cone, passive learning methods like reading and hearing lead to lower retention. As we move down towards higher visual engagement, such as viewing images and watching videos, it is found that retention improves. However, the real impact comes from active participation. Discussions lead to 70% retention. Simulations and real experiences lead to 90% retention. The more we engage by doing, the better we remember. For emergency response training or any skill development for that matter, we must shift from passive methods to hands on simulations to enhance learning and preparedness. This is why emergency response simulations are crucial, as they mimic real experiences, helping teams remember and react effectively. Immersive simulation involves creating realistic environments and scenarios that engage trainees in an active learning experience. Unlike traditional training methods, immersive simulations place participants in lifelike situations, requiring them to think, react, and make decisions just as they would in a real emergency. The key to effective immersive simulation is realism. By replicating real world stressors such as time constraints, unpredictable variables, and decision making under pressure, simulations create an environment where responders can practice under authentic conditions. Immersive simulation bridges the gap between theory and real world execution. By incorporating it into emergency response training, organizations can ensure their teams are not just prepared, but confident and capable when disaster strikes. One of the crucial challenges in emergency readiness is ensuring that training scenarios are relevant to the personnel involved. When scenarios lack relevance, they fail to prepare teams for the real challenges they will face in the field. That is why relevance is key to readiness and AI is the enabler that creates it. AI enables what we call deep context scenarios. These are scenarios that align closely with the operational reality of an organization. By using AI to build deep context scenarios, we ensure that emergency response teams are trained for the situations they are most likely to encounter. This approach transforms simulation training from a routine exercise into a powerful readiness tool. Let us look at the five critical aspects that create deep context. These critical aspects include asset and organization relevance, relevance to prevention and control measures, relevance to region specific hazards, relevance to offsite industry and public, And finally, predicting emergencies based on historical data. Let us now understand each of these aspects. First, relevance starts with the organization itself. Every facility, every industry, and every organization has unique operational risks. A refinery has different hazards than a hospital, and an offshore platform has different emergency protocols than an airport. Training scenarios must mirror the actual working environment, its assets, processes, and response structures to be truly effective. Effective emergency response is not just about reacting, it's also about prevention and control. Scenarios must incorporate existing mitigation strategies, emergency response plans, and safety barriers in place within the organization. By simulating the effectiveness of these measures under different conditions, teams can evaluate gaps, improve protocols, and enhance overall resilience. AI driven simulations help refine these strategies by testing various scenarios and adjusting response plans accordingly. Next, we must consider regional hazards. Different locations face different threats. Hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico, earthquakes in Japan, and wildfires in Australia, or any industrial incident in a major petrochemical hub. Scenarios must reflect the unique risk landscape of the region so that teams can develop strategies suited to their specific operating conditions. Further, emergencies don't happen in isolation. Incident at industrial sites can have far reaching consequences, impacting neighboring businesses, public infrastructure, and surrounding communities. Training scenarios must account for off-site risks, including potential evacuations, hazardous material exposure, and coordinated response efforts with external agencies. AI powered ALERTSim helps organizations assess these broader impacts, ensuring that emergency plans consider not just internal operations but also external stakeholders, regulatory bodies, and public safety measures. The final aspect is prediction. AlertSim AI analyzes historical incident data both from an organization's own records and from regional events to identify patterns and potential vulnerabilities. This allows us to create proactive training scenarios based on real world trends rather than relying on generic one size fits all exercises. This is where AlertSim's AI driven scenario building features come into play. The AI system integrates asset data, considers all the various other aspects to craft scenarios that mirror actual risks. This ensures that training exercises are no longer theoretical drills but real world readiness tests. In the next section, we'll look at how AI enhances decision making within simulations, further strengthening response plans. Imagine an oil refinery with safety critical equipment that has a history of failure. AlertSim integrates this data to simulate an incident that reflects those vulnerabilities. This approach ensures preparedness for the most relevant threats. Basically, it integrates key data from various sources, including asset information, which incorporates infrastructure, personnel, and equipment to match real world conditions. Emergency skills training information, such as skill levels, are also considered. Furthermore, standards and procedures embed roles, responsibilities, and protocols to align with industry best practices. Major accident hazard information identifies potential risks and control measures to prevent escalation. Then it considers location specific climate and natural disaster data, such as weather conditions and environmental risks that can impact emergency response. Furthermore, human failure data is also considered, which accounts for cognitive biases and decision making strategies which are faulty. System failure information, such as equipment and operational failures, are also considered in the simulation. Safety critical equipment failure information highlights high risk asset malfunctions that require immediate attention. AlertSim is a realistic, risk specific training simulator. A well structured emergency simulation follows a detailed master sequence of events list. AlertSim's AI generates the sequence, scripting key developments and expected response from trainees. For instance, in a chemical spill scenario, AlertSim can introduce a worsening leak, forcing trainees to escalate their response. This dynamic approach ensures that trainees are challenged adequately to keep skill levels high. It also reduces the burden on the facilitators to create scenarios or to create detailed master sequence events which considers all the aspects that we just discussed. In the next chapter, let us discuss how to conduct immersive simulations using alerts. In times of crisis, whether it's a natural disaster, a fire, a medical emergency, or an industrial accident, the speed and effectiveness of our response can mean the difference between life and death. But how do we ensure that our teams are truly prepared? The answer lies in immersive simulations. In real emergencies, events unfold dynamically. A fire might spread unexpectedly, a critical system might fail, or an external agency might issue new directives. To make training realistic, AlertSim uses an automated inject system to introduce these scenario developments in a structured way. In summary, injects are what make a simulation dynamic, ensuring participants adapt and respond in real time. Instead of relying on manual script execution, AlertSim uses AI to automate and structure inject delivery. Here is how it works: AI driven prompting for simulation controllers. This means AlertSim provides simulation controllers with real time prompts, guiding them on when and how to deliver injects. The system ensures that the right inject is sent to the right team at the right time. Time stamped and role specific injects. Each inject is pre scheduled with a specific timestamp, ensuring controlled scenario flow. Injects are also assigned to relevant roles. So, an operations lead might receive a system failure alert while a public information officer gets a media query. Dynamic injects based on participant actions. What makes AlertSim powerful is its ability to react to user decisions. If an incident commander delays an evacuation order, AlertSim can automatically trigger worsening conditions such as increased smoke spread or an injured responder. Customizable injects for any scenario. Injects can be pre-scripted or generated dynamically using AlertSim's AI scenario creator. This means training exercises can be adjusted in real time, making each simulation unique and challenging. AlertSim enhances master sequence event list management by automating inject delivery and providing real time adaptability. This is achieved by 1. Automated scheduling of injects. Each inject in the MSEL is pre scheduled, ensuring critical events unfold in a logical sequence. This prevents scenario controllers from manually tracking and triggering injects, reducing errors. Role specific distribution. Not every participant receives every inject. AlertSim ensures that each inject reaches the relevant role, keeping the scenario organized and realistic. For example, an operations lead might receive a system failure alert, while a logistics officer gets a resource shortage update. Real time adaptation and escalation. Here's where AlertSim's AI makes a big difference. If a team fails to respond effectively to a developing situation, AlertSim can escalate the scenario automatically. For example, if a fire response is delayed, The AI can trigger additional hazards like smoke inhalation casualties. Simulation controller dashboard for live adjustments. Even though ALERTSim automates MSEL execution, simulation controllers still have full oversight and control. They can pause, delay, or escalate events based on participant performance. For example, imagine a chemical spill scenario. The MSEL might be structured like this. At time 1400, initial incident occurs. The operator reports a leak at tank 4. At 1405, first inject is given. A responder near the scene reports a strong odor. 1410 is a decision point for the trainees. Has the on scene commander declared an emergency? If yes, ALERTSIM moves to containment efforts. No, ALERTSIM triggers an escalation. The leak worsens and fumes spread. By structuring the simulation this way, ALERTSIM ensures teams are constantly making decisions under pressure. This reduces the efforts of the simulation controllers. The time available is spent on more training opportunities. A well structured exercise is key to effective emergency training. AlertSim's MSEL automation removes the burden of manual scenario tracking while allowing real time flexibility. This ensures simulations are both controlled and responsive, just like real emergencies. In real emergencies, stress levels are high. Decisions must be made quickly, often with incomplete information and under intense pressure. To truly prepare responders, simulations must recreate this level of urgency and chaos. AlertSim achieves this by incorporating stress inducing elements like alarms, public address systems, time constraints, and scenario escalation. Let us now look at some advanced features. Pre-scripted emergency dialogues. AlertSim's AI doesn't just trigger events randomly. It structures the entire simulation with precise timing, detailed dialogue, and dynamic responses based on participant actions. Timestamps are given for structured execution. Every inject in the simulation is assigned a precise time, mimicking how events unfold in real life. For example, the next advanced feature is a role specific inject. AlertSim doesn't just provide generic injects, it crafts realistic dialogue tailored to each participant's role. This forces teams to process incomplete or evolving information just like in real world crisis. For example, during a cyber attack simulation, AlertSim generates a series of escalating dialogues. The IT security officer can receive an alert. We are detecting unusual activity on the firewall, multiple unauthorized access attempts. Whereas the network engineer's console logs show data packets rerouted through an unknown server could be a ransomware attack. The CEO might receive a simulated media inquiry. We have received reports that a company's data has been compromised. Do you have an official statement? These prompting injects ensures that every trainee has to think on his feet. Adaptive injects based on participant actions. One of AlertSim's most powerful features is its ability to adapt scenarios based on how teams respond. If participants act quickly and correctly, the AI adjusts the scenario to reinforce success. If they delay or make errors, the AI intensifies the challenge. Finally, seamless integration with alarms and public address systems make the simulation more immersive. AlertSim enhances realism by linking scenario events with auditory and visual cues. Alarms, radio broadcasts, and emergency announcements are triggered automatically. With this, we have come to the end of this webinar. The key takeaways from today's talk are: conducting immersive emergency response simulations ensure team readiness. AlertSim's AI features reduces efforts in preparing for simulations, thereby increasing learning opportunities. Its AI features allow for deep context scenarios, ensuring training relevance and readiness. Its advanced features ensures immersion and realism. In our next webinar, we will discuss ALERTSim's Virtual Operations Center. Why many organizations are transitioning towards virtual emergency operations centers and its benefits compared to traditional emergency centers. We will also discuss how AlertSim deploys a cognitive architecture model powered by AI to evaluate trainee performance. Thank you for joining us today and see you in the next webinar.